The entire world.
My goodness. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm just waiting for you all to come online, and then we'll start. Right, I'm going to kick off. Welcome to you all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's a different time frame for most of us. We're not in the same zone. So I think Winnie is a good evening. In the UK and Europe, we good afternoon. And in America, you good morning. So welcome, and I hope you're going to enjoy the session. A few housekeeping rules. You will have been muted when you joined. So if you want to speak, you have to unmute yourself. And please, after you've spoken, just mute yourself again, because with so many participants, background noise can be quite distracting. If you want to speak, you can put up your hand electronically. At the bottom of your screen, where it says in the middle participants, if you click on that tab, it'll open a tab on the right-hand side, which shows you all the participants. And on the far right, at the bottom of that, you will have the opportunity to put up your hand or take down your hand. So as we go along, and if you want to speak, just put up your hand, and Chris and I will try and pick that up. If that doesn't work for you, then just wave at us, and hopefully we'll pick you up. My role this afternoon is to facilitate the discussion, making sure that everybody gets an opportunity to contribute. And I'll try and keep us on track as far as the discussion is concerned, and also the time. And at the end, we'll see if we can get some agreement on some of the key issues and the best ways to deal with that. Chris Shelby, who's our Executive Director of IIMC, is going to co-host with me this afternoon. This was sort of belts and braces. In case my system went down, Chris can continue and make sure that the discussion isn't disrupted. So if we can start with a quick introduction from you all, and I'm going to start with Chris. Just a quick introduction, your name, the council you work for, the position you have, and perhaps the country or the state where you're from. So Chris, if you start, I'm going to start at the left, and I'll call your names as we go along.
Great. Thank you, Tom, and welcome everyone. I'm Chris Shelby. I'm IMC's Executive Director, and we are here in Rancho Cucamonga, California, Southern California, where headquarters is. Hello.
Camilla, over to you.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Camilla Pittman. I'm with the City of Greenville, South Carolina, and I am a Region 3, one of the Region 3 directors with IIMC.
Welcome. Eric?
Hi there, thank you. I'm Eric Kaarsenmaker. I'm with the Council of Oosterhout in the Netherlands, Region 11.
Welcome, Eric. John?
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm John Austin. I'm from the Association of Democratic Services Officers, known as ADSO. I retired a few years ago, so I'm not attached to any local authority, thankfully now. Thank you.
Tina?
Hello, good evening from Belgium. I'm Tina. I work for the municipality of Schilde, and I'm representing Belgium here and also active in Region 11.
Good to have you, Tina. Carol?
Hi, my name is Gerald de Graaf. I'm from Holland. I am first advisor of the municipality of Heerhugowaard. That's 50 kilometers above Amsterdam. And nice to meet you.
Thanks, Carol. Carol?
Hello, everybody. I'm Carol Moore. I'm city clerk for the city of Mukilteo, Washington State in the United States. It's about 25 miles north of Seattle.
Hi, welcome. Monica.
Yes, good day to everyone. My name is Monica Mayfield. I'm with the City of Portsmouth in Virginia, right on the east coast of the United States, and I'm the Senior Deputy City Clerk, and I am in Region 2.
Thanks, Monica. Linda.
Hello, my name is Linda Larter. I'm the Chief Executive / Town Clerk of Sevenoaks in Kent in the UK, and I'm also President of the SLCC for second year.
Thanks, Linda. Susan. Kansas, USA.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan. I'm the City Clerk in Andover, Kansas, USA, and I'm in Region 7. The city of Andover is about 15,000 people, just sitting right next to Wichita, Kansas, which is well over 300,000. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you, Susan. I used to work in Andover in the UK. Winnie. Winnie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Winnie Baloyi. I'm from South Africa, from Greater Tzaneen Municipality in Limpopo Province. I am from IMASA, Institute of Municipal Administrators in South Africa. I'm currently the president. Thank you.
Lovely to see you, Winnie. Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Haig. I'm from the town of Austerlitz. I'm a town clerk tax collector here from the state of New York and in Region 1.
Lovely. Thank you. Sam.
Thank you. I'm Sam Shippen. I'm the Chief Officer at Bicester Town Council, which is in Oxfordshire. We're about 12 miles from Oxford City in the UK. And I'm a member of the Society of Local Council Clerks and a former Region 11 Director.
Thanks, Sam. Jenny?
Hello everyone, I'm Jenny Wilkinson, so I'm clerk to the council in Scottish Borders in Scotland, and I'm representing SOLAR, which is the Society of Local Authority Lawyers and Administrators, a bit of a mouthful. Thank you.
Welcome. And Aurelia?
Hello everyone, my name is Aurelia Trustee. I'm from the city of Norfolk, that's the United States. I am the Senior Deputy Clerk and Administrative Analyst to the City Council.
Thank you. Brenda.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brenda Hall. I'm with the City of Norman, Oklahoma in the U.S., and I currently serve as Oklahoma State President of Clerks.
Thank you. Shauna.
Hi there, I'm Shauna Lee from Tucson, Arizona in the United States, Region 8. I work in the City Clerk's office as the City Records Manager. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Mary Beth? Your video is not on. I don't know if you want to switch it on. Otherwise, Mary Beth?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate. I'm Mary Beth Betza. I'm from the village of Mayfield in the state of Ohio, United States. I'm a member of the OMCA, NEOMCA, past president, WRMCA, and I also work in the finance department as well.
Lovely. Welcome. Michelle?
Hello everyone, I'm Michelle. I work for Richmond and Wandsworth councils here in London, UK, and will also be joining John on the ADSO board in November as Joint Company Secretary. Lovely to be here. Good to see you all.
Good to see you too. Brenda?
Is there another Brenda? I think I've already gone.
Right. Have we then covered Michelle Beaumont?
Yeah, sorry, that was me, Tom. I don't think I said my surname.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Your video is gone again. I think, have I missed anyone? I don't think so. We've got two people.
Actually, I just joined myself. I'm from United States,
Daphne.
from Minnesota.
Daphne, welcome. Sorry, your as you came in, you jumped in between all the others I've already passed, and that's why I missed you.
No problem.
Welcome. You just quickly introduce yourself. You from?
I'm Daphne Morris. I'm the city clerk for the city of Albert Lee in the U.S. State of Minnesota.
Lovely, and welcome. Right, so we have about an hour, and I said I'd try and keep us to timing. If everyone contributes, that leaves about 2 minutes for each person. I'll try and keep you within your time. If in your allotted time you can try and focus on the key issues and how perhaps you dealt with those, and then we'll see if there's any overlap with what someone else or anybody else wanted to contribute. I'm going to ask someone to kick off the discussion, and after that look for contributions. Remember to unmute yourself when you speak. I'd rather not follow a strict rotation according to where you are on my screen. We'll see who wants to participate at that point in time. So if you want to add anything or have anything to say, just put up your hand by clicking on the tab on the right of your screen. So the topic this afternoon is the challenges of working remotely. I'm sure as a result of this pandemic that most of you would have worked from home or remotely, or at least have a feel for the sort of challenges that you could be facing if you had to. And I'm sure you found ways how to deal with them. And so the aim of this session is to explore the topic, share your experiences and good practice, and that's the purpose of the discussion. So, is there anyone that would like to kick us off? Do I see a hand or wave even? Anybody? John? John Austin.
Yeah, I'm happy to kick things off. Just to relay some of the experiences that ADSO members had in England when we went into lockdown here in March, and you can really break it down into about 4 issues. And I'm sure the issues are very common, and I know Michelle, who's still working in the front line, can probably come in and say how she dealt with them. But I think the first real challenge was the technology in sort of terms of councils. Some were further down the road in advanced technology than others. Some had a lot of catching up to do in sort of terms of implementing the right sort of IT to enable remote meeting to take place. The second issue was really training for our elected members, councillors, getting them up to speed in terms of what remote meetings are all about, which we all know are totally different. The third aspect really is, within all of that, trying to ensure the integrity of the democratic process, trying to maintain that transparency and openness, and ensuring that members of the public were not disadvantaged in any way in terms of their rights of access to that process. And finally, it became obvious very early on that managing remote meetings was a lot more resource intensive, and it actually takes more members of staff to manage a remote meeting than it does to manage a physical face-to-face meeting. So they're the 4 primary issues. There were others, but they're the main issues, I think, that were prominent in terms of ADSO members. But as I say, I'm sure Michelle, who's still in the front line, as I call it, can add to that at some point, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Jenny, you've got your hand up.
Yep. If I can just pick up on some of the things that John has said. So very much agree with that. We were in the fortunate position that our elected members were used to working from home, and they all had laptops and connections, so we were fine. It took a while to get used to remote meetings, I think picking up on that, it is much more resource intensive, not necessarily with people who know about how formal committees work, but very much on the technical side of things. We use MS Teams and we live stream our meetings, and we're just about to trial having questions coming in from the public through live stream. So that will be interesting to see how it works. Certainly in the Scottish Borders, we've been working with remote meetings since March, and we will be working with remote meetings for at least the next 4 to 5 months, we think, if not beyond that. One of the benefits, so one of the disadvantages we found is that meetings take much longer, and we wonder if it's because people are very comfortable at home, so they don't have to think about travelling or going somewhere else. So our last 2 council meetings, which would normally take between 3 and 4 hours, have taken over 7 hours to deal with. But the good part that we think is some of our meetings that we would do out in fairly remote parts of the community, we're actually getting more members of the public viewing our meetings and joining in than we would do if we were having to go actually physically out. So hopefully that will be an advantage going forward. For the committee staff, it has meant a steep learning curve, not only on using the technology, but also in training on that, and also writing the protocols for the meetings. So for those participating in the meetings, for the members, for officers presenting, for members of the public having to link in, and how they manage to download, in our case it is MS Teams that we use, but having to download that to whatever technology they're using, whether it's a laptop, a PC, a tablet or a mobile phone. Okay.
Thank you, Jenny. Carol.
I just wanted to chime in with JJ. That's exactly over here near Seattle what we were doing. We use Zoom for electronic meetings. Teams we use internally within staff. But with Zoom, we have a process now, and it is working, I think, very smoothly with public comment. We have a PDF that shows a step-by-step process of how either if you're using the telephone and listening in, you can dial *9 and it raises your hand. I mean, it's been working great. And actually, I feel like we're getting more public comments and more activity now that everyone's at home. Maybe they're bored because they can't go out and go out to eat or go to the movies. They're now tuning into council meetings. So we're looking at even, I mean, this is down the road, possibly a year later, about trying to meld this into a form of communication where, you can come, and once public meetings are open again and our city halls are open, also you can do it from home. So we're looking at actually trying to keep that aspect of virtual meetings in the future when we get to our new normal.
Great. Thanks, Carol. Tina.
Yeah, I wanted to add something that is not about the technology or the training, but I have the feeling that because of the live streaming and the online meetings, that the democratic process is changing. For instance, while we do the live streaming, we had a campaign of young people in our municipality who started at the same time their online campaign to try to influence the process of the meeting. So that's one thing, that it's more that the council is more lively in the society. That's one, but two, also the positions of the politicians is changing, I feel. The mayor has a bigger role. The other councillors take more like role of caring for people and listening to what the needs are in the society. And yeah, it's a very interesting process, I think. So I'm curious if others have the same experience.
Thanks, Tina. Next is Linda.
Hello. I echo what you say. I think there's no turning back now, to be truthful, whether we like it or not. For me personally, I found the IT a real struggle and definitely a steep learning curve. And it's not just about meetings. So we're at the moment trying to work out how we're going to live stream our Remembrance Day service on Sunday. So it's all these things that we wouldn't have done before that if you need different skills to committee management, etc. Our next stage is we currently do everything live streaming on YouTube. Definitely engages more people. A controversial topic will have 500 people online compared to maybe 20 in the office before, in the chamber before. But our next stage is moving to hybrid when we can, and I'm sure I'll manage it as we have done everything else. But it's not something I'm looking forward to with the IT. Not the concept of it, but the IT is for an old girl like me is finding it a bit difficult to be truthful.
Thanks. Susan Renner.
Hello again. I'm kind of wondering, we use Zoom for our meetings. We've been electronic with our council and our planning commission for quite a while as far as their packets and everything. And now we're of course doing the Zoom meetings. We've had some great successes and a few failures. We are currently not allowing the public, we're having live meetings now with separation of people, and a lot of people wear masks. Our council did not approve we don't have to wear a mask. That's what they've done in our county. And the council does not wear masks, but the people that come in, we've asked them to wear masks, and we don't have that much from the public, and we normally don't. So what my question really is, I guess, is when you're doing the electronic meetings and you've invited the public in, I heard you say you're getting a lot more, but was that something that you allowed in the first place? Because I know some places don't allow a public comment session. We do. You get 3 minutes, that's it, unless there's no one else waiting in line. But I mean, that could make your meeting really like 7 hours. No, sorry. I want to go home.
Right, let's see if anybody else. Next, I've got Michelle Bowman, and perhaps she can comment on that as well. Michelle?
Yeah, I've agreed with nearly everything everyone said, and I think Linda, hybrid are going to be interesting. There's no going back. I'm not so worried about the technology. I'm more worried about how we're going to deal with the governance of it. Who gets to come into rooms and who doesn't, and all that kind of thing. But in terms of the public participation, so we webcast our meetings at Richmond for quite some time, and we've got quite generous public speaking rules. Richmond like to engage with residents, and that was one of the things. So there's no one size fits all solution. Some are on Zoom, some are on Teams, some are on Skype, some are audio only. We use Teams and we webcast it via Public Eye Webcasting. We had a contract with them, so we don't have to use YouTube. And it was really important for us right from the start, whatever solution we used, we had to be able to still be able to have public participate, still come registered to speak and be able to speak. So our meeting operates completely inside itself. So public speakers are invited into the meeting. Anyone that would have come to watch as a general observer still watches separately on a webcast, so they're self-contained. But we haven't really seen an increase in participation because we already had quite a lot. I think we've seen an increase in views, and it's obviously it's more inclusive. We're probably getting people that perhaps might not have been able to make the journey to the town hall that can join from the comfort of their own home. So for us, yeah, I mean, it's been really good actually. Once all the stress of deciding on our solution, key is its preparation is absolutely key. We had very detailed user guides, user very friendly, so lots of screenshots with images detailing how to access the meetings, and then with a contact for support. So I've done one-to-one testing. So as John said, it is more labour intensive. There is more resource. But I think these things, as we go on, will develop. It will probably become easier for us all.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Susan Haig. Susan Haig.
I interact in a number of ways online. One, through our regular town board meetings. They seem to be going really well. We're not really having any issues with that. And we have public sometimes, 2 or 3 or 4, if an issue comes up that they want to chat about. And that seems to really work well. And they're very respectful as far as waiting until the proper time and not interrupting during a regular meeting. So we're really not having any challenges with those types of issues. I also am the president of our state association, and I've done 2 now regional meetings of our executive board that we've done via Zoom. And I find those types of meetings actually quite frustrating. People seem, because we're all sitting at home on a Saturday, people seem to be doing other things as, we're having meetings. So I think sometimes the Zoom or whatever else you're using and sitting at home has a tendency for people to just think that they can multitask instead of paying attention to what actually is going on. So that was kind of a little bit frustrating. I will say on a very personal level, when we first started in New York and we had to shut everything down, our town hall completely shut down and we had to work from home. And working from home has its own really a lot of challenges that come with it. I had to personally upgrade my internet service so that I was able to pull on my system, through my laptop at home. I had to pull out all my work systems, the programs. So I had to upgrade all of my Wi-Fi capabilities at home. I have a disabled child and I have my mother at home. So there was constant interruptions and not being able to stay on task and work on certain things. I found that I was getting up very early in the morning and reading emails at 6 o'clock in the morning. I might be 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night reading emails and answering them. So I found that my workday really expanded and was very, very long. And I found it hard to, with my computer and all the work stuff that I dragged home, I found it very hard to stick to certain hours that I worked and stayed within those parameters. So at the end of June, when we came back into the office, I was actually very, very pleased to be back in the office because there was a little bit more structure and that works well for me. We have here in New York, we have very, very strict policies on mask wearing, social distancing. Our governor is very, very strict on things. In fact, they've kicked around, and I'm pretty sure that they passed it, that if you're not wearing a mask, no matter where you are out in public, it's upwards of $15,000 fine if you're not wearing it. So we in the office have to wear them. Anybody that comes in has to wear them. They have to social distance. And sometimes that's a real big struggle for us here too, because people are bucking the system and don't really like to comply with those kinds of things. So somebody has to be the heavy, and that's not really always fun to do. That was just a few of the different areas that I found that there were some, we had some issues and hard things that we had to do.
Excellent. Thanks, Susan. Eric.
Yeah, I recognize a lot of the things that have been said, so we're not so different after all. A number of colleagues referred to the more social side of things, and I'd like to put that a bit stronger. We've been doing this remote working with the councillors and also as employees of the council since halfway March, right? So the technological side of things is there's one strand of improvement. We will keep doing that. A lot of the things I hear are quite internally focused, logically, because that is our responsibility as city clerks. Most of us are city clerks. But the social side, the social dimension, that's another strand. And I feel that this becomes more of an issue recently. Also, since there is not really an end inside to this. And yeah, councillors are not employees, they're the elected people. And I have a hard time at this point We have budget meetings coming up. The yearly budget is in Holland is always discussed in councils in November. Very difficult meeting, lots of amendments, lots of politics. People want to talk. And that is something with, we are working remotely 100% at the moment. That's not everywhere in the Netherlands, that's a choice. You see that particularly in the slightly larger councils. But we chose to do this 100% digitally. And you miss the grease. After meetings, people talk, and that's not there anymore. And we try to organize this remotely. But it's very difficult. We are now with a group of 20 colleagues from a number of places in the world. And yeah, councils, when you organize something for councillors, the social talk with such a large group, that's not that's not the way it works, right? It's I find it very difficult. And I've been thinking, how can we improve on this? I mean, one strand, technological improvements, yeah, that's logical, and we're working on that. But the improvements on the more social strand, the people orientation, I see that as an issue that is becoming bigger since this is longer and longer. It takes us longer and longer. I'd like to get some feedback from colleagues how they are trying to deal with this kind of issue, the more people-focused things. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Aurelia.
Hi, everyone. Again, this is Aurelia. I want to speak on some things that you guys probably have already spoke on. The city of Norfolk, when we found out that the pandemic was going to hit, we went into a plan of action. So we really had 3 days to prepare for what was going to come next. Our department was assigned some IT professionals, and we just went through a big conversion with Granicus. So we took the laptops that they had provided for that system, and they were reprogrammed so we could take them home to use for at least 2 weeks. None of our meetings have stopped. We stream live through Channel 48, which is a public TV access. We stream live via the internet. And those who are not technology savvy, we have a phone service set up where we have a phone tree that we call them if they want to speak. Now, they only can speak if they have an item on the agenda. We have suspended all new businesses. We do not let any citizens in on this floor. The only persons that are on this floor during the times of the meetings are the mayor, the city clerk, the city manager, and the city attorney. And we found that this has worked out very helpful. We do publicize our meetings in the newspaper. So citizens do have a way of getting in touch with us, and we have a council email set up where if they have something to say, we will read them. We will not allow them to come online to talk in person because we're still in that phase. And once we got through that 2 weeks, then we had another plan of action that laptops was ordered for everyone in the department. So we have different crews come in different days. Like I'm on crew team 2, we have a team 1. And so we kept things going. Nothing has stopped other than the public coming in. So we found that to be very beneficial. And we have had meetings to go 6 and 7 hours on sometimes with a hot topic, because as you know, Norfolk is in a big election year because we're voting now on getting a new casino here. And so that's a big hot topic. High-speed rail is another big topic. So we've had some hot, heated agenda items that we currently have out here right now. But for the most part, I think the citizens of Norfolk have embraced technology, and those who have not, we try to make them feel comfortable with this transition because, like you said, we don't know when it's going to end or if it will ever end. But I seem to think that some of the council members, because they have not been here, we conduct a lot of their meetings via WebEx. So the way of doing business has changed. Only thing is that we don't have the public in here. And it's kind of been very, very beneficial because it pretty much probably has sharpened every one of us who has had to embrace this new way of conducting meetings and this new way of using technology. And we keep it going. We had a meeting on Tuesday night and we're cleaning up for Tuesday night. We got some work sessions coming on Saturday because the council does not want to come in. And that's fine. And we still have our social distance policy in place where we still wear masks, 6 feet of social distance. So pretty much that part has changed, and the part where people can't come in the building. Now, we were scheduled to open on the first week of November, but that has changed until further notice. So right now, we don't know when we're going to physically be on site again, but we are working with a skeleton crew. And we service two types of entities in the city of Norfolk. We have the State Department also in this building, and they've been shut down since the pandemic. And so you can imagine how that's been for us, because, you know, they're attacking us because they can't pay their taxes, they can't do this, they can't do this, can't do that. So we did open downstairs with City Hall with limited access for early voting, because as you know, we're in an election year. And so that's the only people that are able to come in. They come in one way and they go out another way. So technology we have embraced. Everything that we do now is done via WebEx or Zoom. And we do use Microsoft Teams for inner office, but we're using the technology to the fullest. And if we can't get a message out, we use Channel 48, which is a public TV service here that we partly own. So we have all kinds of ways of connecting with our citizens. And we have 3 newspapers that we use. So we are getting the word out, and I think they're beginning to get comfortable with it. They don't like the fact that they can't speak on new business. So if you have a category that kind of fits what you might want to say, they're chopping it up to make it fit that category. So, you know, we allow it because now the meetings are very short now. We're not here till like 9, 10 o'clock at night, which is a great thing, you know. So we don't know. We're going to start some Saturday sessions coming up in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Lovely. Thanks, Aurelia. Brenda.
Yes, hi, thank you. We've had a little bit of different experiences with Zoom meetings. In the state of Oklahoma, it took our legislative action at the state level to amend our Open Meetings Act to allow for the Zoom meetings, and I'm sure that's probably true for a lot of you. And it made it a little more difficult because they set it up so that they had to renew it every 30 days. And now we will be, November 15th is the last date that we can hold Zoom meetings until the legislature meets again in February. So we will all be coming back together whether we wanted to or not. Our city hall has not closed. We closed to the public back in March for a period of 2 weeks. But other than that, we have may have worked on a skeleton crew, but most of us have been here the entire time and not working from home. Our council meetings, however, I have found that with Zoom, I don't know if it's just because they're a little more relaxed because they're at home, that they are taking much longer than they did in person. People are speaking much longer when they have the mic. Council members, and when I say people, I'm talking about our city council. And so that has been challenging. It got so relaxed that we had to adopt some house rules about what was expected of you during a Zoom meeting, and you know, not eating, not outside, riding a bike with your phone. I mean, we had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And we did continue to take public comment on agenda items that, you know, public hearings and stuff like that. But we took them, they had the option of coming to City Hall. We have it set up so that you could still social distance and wear your mask and speak in front of a laptop, but they could also email the clerks my email, or they had the opportunity to do so on our YouTube feed. And that became, in my opinion, really problematic because we have a very involved political scene here in Norman. We're a university city, lots of different diverse opinion, and that YouTube feed has become kind of a place for people to air out their differences, so to speak, and it's been a little toxic. So we are pulling that back and not going to take comments that way any longer, but we are still taking the emails. We don't have the ability to do a phone in here the way we're set up, but we also have our council members. Some are more challenged than others. Some have better, you know, internet or Wi-Fi capabilities at their homes than others. And so we've had some issues with connectivity from time to time. We also had to lock it down to where it was just our staff and council that was involved in the Zoom meeting, unless it was an applicant, because we got hacked during a meeting, and some pretty shocking stuff was happening with nudity and things. So we we no longer publish our Zoom link and information to the public. They had to view it via the YouTube stream, or we also stream it through our website. But so we've had those challenges. Other than that, we've been really fortunate that we haven't had a lot of staff that have experienced the pandemic, personally, and we've been able to continue to function here at City Hall. I do feel like, though, that because it has, as many of you have said, it's opened it up for way more people to participate and not have to come down to City Hall and view, that I do think it set a dynamic going forward in the future of expectation of the public expecting to still have that same type of access, and almost probably demanding it to some degree. And we will find ourselves having to try to provide both settings moving forward. And that's once the state allows us to do so, to continue on. So I think we've learned a lot. There's been a lot of challenges, and there's also been some things that have been helpful, but I kind of am really ready for this whole thing to be over with, and we can just get back to normal governing and operating our cities.
Thanks, Brenda. I think we all feel like that. Camilla?
Thank you, Tom. Many of you have said some of the same things that I was going to share, so I'll try to just go through my notes really quick. March the 13th was the date for us, and I was teaching an Athenian dialogue, facilitating an Athenian dialogue at the time. We had a new manager who was in place for only a few months, and up until about 3 or 4 months ago, we did not have any form of communication. So we now have a communications director that has certainly helped us through the process. Having a new manager in place is something that we all had to deal with, that on top of having COVID. So with that, he totally shut us down. About April, when I sat at my table for about 12 hours one day working, and I still had my pajamas on, it told me I needed to get back in the office. I needed a little bit more control with the work that was taking place. So in May, the manager asked for our department directors to come back to City Hall and to begin staggering our staff. And so that's a couple of things I just want to speak about as a supervisor or a department director, is maintaining your staff, keeping them motivated. That has been difficult that we have found. We are gracious that they have paid us while we have been out of the office. However, we have many people who do not want to return and are using their children as that example of not to return to work, but to stay home and work, when actually they're not doing a lot of work and they're getting paid. Our schools have been shut down until recently, and then they were given a choice of doing virtual school or attending school in person, and many have chosen virtual, using their children as an excuse to stay home and attempt to work. So trying to find ways to motivate our staff to get back into the office has been a little difficult for us. The staff that is at home, some of the issues that they are having is that it's almost as though the organization could be taking advantage of them. You use a lot of electricity with the equipment you have. They may benefit you by giving you the equipment, but then you may not have all the links that you need or VPN communications to get in some of your programs, because they are secured programs. And so that is a weakness that we have seen in the process, requiring people to have to come into City Hall. And while everything is digital, many people still need signatures. They still need copies. And so there are reasons for coming into City Hall for that. But the city staff, some of them are seeing expenses that are occurring to them personally because of using their own electricity, telephones for sign-ins, and those kind of things. The main issue we have seen is this scenario being a test of our personal networking, which many of you have spoken about. Zoom is wonderful, but I know our council has had problems because they don't feel like they are physically feeling a lot of the conversation that would be taking place in person, and they might react differently if they could see that person in real life in the same room. Our meetings are taking place still virtually as for now. We did a test run on a task force meeting last week, and it seemed to work well. But at this time, we are still closed as a city hall. At our meetings, we have a remote location for anyone who would like to attend, who does not have computer access or an ability to call in. And we've also had to resort, because we've never videoed our meetings before, we've had to resort to ADA compliance, closed captioning. We've had to resort to language translations. We are in an international community where we have German, Japanese, European companies that are here, Chinese companies that are here. And so we're finding a way of having to do more translation of our meetings for that purpose. We use WebEx. I don't think I said that, but we have found it to be helpful and useful. I will tell you the majority of the work I have done as a facilitator in providing sessions for any of our Region 3 meetings or for our Athenian dialogues. Most of those have been done by Zoom, and I was hesitant at first when we decided to try some Zoom meetings for or virtual meetings for Athenian dialogues, but it has worked very well. It allows me to go into different groups and allows different groups to have conversations and dialogues and come back to the main meeting. So I have found that helpful. In reaching out to a couple of my colleagues, the biggest issues that they shared with me was basically the struggle of being at home, having children at home. The quality and quantity of their work was reduced, and it was taking them longer to do. And, you know, we're on call 24/7, really. We're here to support all of the staff with the records and the information we can provide to them. And so it has just become an easier process to be in the office. And for me personally, I have been providing more opportunities for my staff to leave a little early, come in a little bit later. We had a major storm this morning, so we came in later, but trying to relax a little bit and to give them the kudos that they deserve for being here and their work to help them feel the increase of value that I do have for them. Thank you for letting me share those comments.
Thanks, Shauna. Camilla. Shauna, over to you.
Hi there. I have experienced a lot of what everyone else has been saying. We did close City Hall in March. We are still closed to the public, and staff are allowed to come in. Our office is probably the one office that has staff regularly in the office. Ours and the attorney's offices. But we rotate our staff in groups. So we only have a handful in the office at one time, instead of all of us being there 5 days a week. So that rotation schedule seems to work. We found that when we were strictly working from home, a lot of people were struggling getting their work done that way. There was the technology issues, of course, with not everybody having what they needed in order to do their work from home, whether it was actual hardware, computers and printers or scanners, or just the internet connection wasn't good enough for what they were trying to do. Not having a secured connection to our network was difficult for a lot of people. So, they found our IT department found the workaround for people to get a virtual desktop connection to the network, but that was really slow for everybody. So people were getting really frustrated trying to use that because it took a long time to do a simple task. They would also, lose their connections, and since our IT department was trying to facilitate most employees now working from home, they were inundated with a lot of requests. So it was taking a long time to get assistance from them when we needed it. But we seem to have worked out the difficulties working from home. We were able to get some laptops issued to our staff who needed them, get some better network connections. Personally, I don't have family, kids at home to distract me, so I find that I get a lot more done. I'm able to focus. I don't have the distractions of people coming into my office and interrupting me. But I know that people who do have families at home, they are distracted. You know, their focus is pulled in different directions. One of the things that I find difficult is the collaboration, where if you're in a group meeting, you can meet how we are now, but if you're not face to face in the same room, you can't have more than one person speaking at a time. So, you know, if someone tries to chime in, either they interrupt the original person speaking and they don't know that, you know, whose voice is being picked up at that moment, because it'll pick up one and cut someone else out. So we're struggling with that. Or people just don't participate because they don't want to interrupt, or they just want to be done with the meeting. It seems like there's less participation, less collaboration for our internal meetings when we are virtual. Our council meetings went virtual immediately, and we actually scheduled more. We scheduled a bunch of additional meetings in order to cover all the work that they needed to do. You know, we're in the process of our budget approval, because we're on our fiscal year starts July 1st. So the budget was in the midst of being reviewed and hashed out in the spring. So there were a lot of additional meetings, not only for the budget process, but also for other big topics. And the converting to virtual council meetings was rough. We found that if there were more, we use Microsoft Teams. We found that if there's more than one of us in the room or close enough where our microphones can pick up each other's computers, then we get this crazy echo and feedback loop. So we couldn't even be in the same, room, socially distanced, and using Microsoft Teams. And that was difficult for us to adjust to. And our meetings were already being live streamed on YouTube. So that wasn't an issue for us. We have turned off the comments. Those we did find were not productive. If the public wants to participate, we are allowing them to call in. We're not allowing them to join by video. So they submit a request. We then send them the call-in information, and we use their phone number to identify them when they want to speak or when they're being called on to speak. So it takes a lot of staff to monitor the phone numbers that are connected and identify who's on the line, and has this person joined? Do we know who they are? Did they submit a request? There's a lot of staff required for these virtual meetings. A lot, like I've heard other people say, it's a lot more staff intensive, resource intensive than the in-person meetings. I was curious because Aurelia mentioned that their meetings are shorter. We're finding that our meetings are running a lot longer, and I don't know if it's because you give someone a microphone and then they don't want to give it up. or I'm not sure why the meetings are going longer, but they are. And it's not for the public engagement, it's the council members speaking.
Need to slowly wrap up, please.
Oh, sure. So another one of the challenges that I've found, before we started working virtually, I always would stay late at the office and then wrap up there and not bring work home. So having work at home is different for me. But really, one of the things that I've been complaining about lately is lugging my stuff back and forth to the office, because that's not something that I'm used to doing. I'm used to just leaving it at work, and then at home I don't have to deal with it. But now, bringing stuff home so I can work from home and then taking it back to the office, that's something that I'm personally trying to figure out how to limit. But I'm really glad to hear everybody else's experiences.
Good. Thanks, Shauna. Winnie, did I see your hand wave? I think so.
Yes, Tom, thank you. Most of the challenges that have been shared are similar to ours. We have been experiencing as well with the council meetings that were held virtual. We have seen councillors not being disciplined and not adhering to the rules of the meetings. But fortunately today we happen to have a physical meeting observing the social distancing. And as well, the other challenge that I've been observing as well, it's with staff members that are not cooperative, that are sometimes neglecting their responsibilities, not checking emails. You spend a lot of time on a phone trying to call people to attend to their responsibilities and to make follow-ups, because sometimes you find a person will miss a day or two without checking their emails. Sometimes when you call, they're not responding to the calls. So those are some of the challenges that we are experiencing. I think the situation has made municipal employees to be depressed. They no longer want to return back to work. They no longer want to execute their responsibilities. But I think now we have implemented a rotation schedule. It's quite better because we take turns going back to the office and attending to our responsibilities. Thank you.
Thanks, Winnie. Sam?
Thank you. I think obviously I'd reflect on a lot of other people's comments, but I think as well as that has been that challenge around supporting both staff and elected members. So a lot of my administration staff are used to being literally in one office all together, and certainly they have struggled far more with working from home than the management have, because they spend the whole day kind of bouncing calls off each other and having that really close working relationship with each other. And at one point, one of my staff was literally having to sit in the corner of the bedroom on a small stool that you would kind of do your hair, put your makeup on, and yet she sat there for 8 hours a day in that situation. And it was a little while before she actually said that to me. So trying to deal with staff who were just quietly getting on while they were experiencing like some personal difficulties in terms of working, and trying to work around that was a bit of a challenge. And then some of our elected members who still, you send them the link, you give them the support, you're there, and they tell you they haven't got it, but they don't wait till like 2 minutes before the meeting. So I find myself sitting here with 2 mobile phones going, a laptop, and then trying to help people while I'm trying to get the public into a meeting. So I guess it feels like almost I'm like a circus clown in there 5-10 minutes before a meeting starts, because I'm trying to, and some of my councillors have got weird and wonderful names on their Zoom accounts. And the first meeting I had, one of my councillors was on there as Darth Vader's son. And I'm like, no! and so, that discipline of, if they're using Zoom to join their family quiz, you can be called Darth Vader's son, but you can't when you're a councillor in a meeting. So I guess it's that kind of support where it took me a little while in some circumstances to kind of get underneath what support the staff needed, because we're used to just being with each other every day.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Michelle, you wanted to come back?
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I suppose I just wanted to say quickly, when I first wrote some notes about this, I started to split it into work challenges, private life challenges, technological channels, positives, negatives. And then I think I've realised, having listened to everyone, that that's ultimately the biggest challenge. The lines are blurred completely, personal life, work life. What access you've got to technology, what your council, what your employer provides, what they don't provide. So there is no real answer. And I think what I've come to the conclusion is how important it is to do things like this and to find support and to talk to other people. And for me personally, ADSO over in England was just amazing, because we have an active forum. We shared ideas really quickly, and I used to find it really therapeutic just phoning people and having a chat. So I just wanted to say thanks, Tom, and maybe not the most helpful of comments, but it just really shows you what a variety of challenges we've got.
Very true. Thanks, Michelle. We're sort of getting to the end of it. I just want to pick up on what Eric had said about the social challenges of that. You haven't got that interaction with staff, with members. And I think that's one of the more difficult ones, how to get across or to resolve that, because Zoom does not provide that sort of feely, touchy contact with your colleagues or with members of the public. And I'm not quite sure there is an answer to deal with that, Eric. I don't know if anybody else has found a way around that, but it does seem to be one of the greater challenges. Technology you can deal with. You can give people better Wi-Fi access and sort out their home situation, office association or whatever. But that social contact is more difficult to deal with. Chris, I don't know, we're getting to the end, whether you just want to add something, and then I think we're about ready to wrap up.
Thank you. No, I think all the comments and the perspectives and the shared insights were incredible, and yet everybody had a common thread, common denominator. I just know that it's great for IMC to be able to facilitate things of this nature. We've put on, by the time mid-November rolls around, we will have put on 20 virtual institutes and have attracted close to 1,000 plus of IMC members engaging in education sessions to get their points, as well as helping the institutes. We have a board meeting coming up in 2 weeks. 14 out of the 26 board members will meet in person in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The other 12 have opted out, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge doing half Zoom, half inside. But and as far as our concerns with staff, I'm in here every day, and then staff is staggered. So Mondays and Wednesdays we'll have 30 to 40% of staff in-house. Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll have 50%. We are working from home. We had a communication crisis plan in place prior to COVID, so we were just able to roll that out and be able to go from there. But as everybody mentioned, all staff misses the interaction with other staff. You just can't generate ideas this way. However, in terms of getting the work done and keeping up with members' demands and education and applications, knock on wood, we've been able to maintain that. Part of it has to do with our plan and working from home. Part of it is coming into the office. But as you all know, nobody was set up. We've had days where certain neighborhoods' internet go down and we have to wait for that to come back up in order to get back on. The children issue, that's only with one staff member. But overall, we've had different emotions. We've had a little bit of anxiety. We've had a little bit of survivor's guilt. People have lost their jobs. IMC, we're still getting paid and we're still working. About a month ago, I brought in a wellness therapist that did a session for staff. And if I could, the positive points of that were people are showing up. This is not sustainable. It may go on another year, but it will not be for the rest of our lives. So there is some positivity at the end of that tunnel. And if you're interested, I have that PowerPoint presentation that she shared with staff. I'll be happy to send it to Tom. He can send it to all of you. If there's some tidbits in there that you want to share with your councils or yourselves or your families. It was very, very beneficial, very therapeutic, and it was very, very helpful on our end. And I just want to thank Tom for facilitating all this. I can't wait for the next one. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. I can see a lot of thumbs up here for your suggestion of sending that round. People would love to see that. So yes, please do that. Right, I think we've come to the end of this discussion. I found it very interesting. I hope you found it interesting. I hope this is the start of many more to come. Just a reminder, we are going to publish the recording of this on the IIMC website. We had such a good response to the initial invitation that we're probably going to run another session with the same topic in a week or two's time. We'll see. And we'll let those people that were unsuccessful in obtaining a seat, we'll let them know. But hopefully this will be a start of many of these discussions, because I think that's the whole purpose of our international relationship, is to learn from one another. We all face the same challenges. We might deal with it slightly different, and therein lies the learning factor. So thank you very much. I'm going to send you a short survey after this, just to get some feedback from you. Obviously, we want to improve on what we're doing. We want to get suggestions about topics. Sorry, if I can just stop this. And so thank you very much for that. And that brings this to conclusion. Thank you very much. Stay safe.